There are 4 things we have to learn. The first one is good. The second one is bad. The third one is economic good, or sometimes we call it scarce good. And you can see that the word scarce is actually the adjective of the term scarcity that we have learned in the previous lesson. The last one is called free good. So if you have read the textbook already, the definition of good is anything we desire. So the examples are food, air, and also water. They are the things that we need so that we can survive, and they are the things that we desire. And another definition is that it is an entity of which some is preferred to none. What does it mean by some is preferred to none? So you can think about smartphones as an example. So having one smartphone is better than having no smartphones, and having 2 smartphones is also better than having no smartphone. So actually you can give as many examples as you can. So you can say that 10 is better than 0, 100 is better than 0, and etc. But there is a question that you may ask: is 2 better than 1? Actually, it depends. In some situations 2 is better than 1, but in other situations 2 is not better than 1, and we will talk about this point later. If you look at the definition of good, there is a term called values. So what does it mean by values? So if you consider food, air, and also water, they are the things that are valuable to humans. So we can say that they provide values to us. So after learning good, then we can jump to bad. The example of bad is rubbish, and also second-hand smoking. They are the examples of bad. And the definition is that this is anything that less is preferred to more. So what does it mean by less is preferred to more? So you take rubbish as an example. 2 units of rubbish is of course better than 4 units of rubbish, and 3 units of rubbish is also better than 10 units, and 0 is better than 1, 0 is better than 5, 0 is better than 20. So if you look at the last 3 examples, there is actually an implication by less is preferred to more. The implication is that none is preferred to some. So this is another definition of bad. And then afterwards we can move on. You can see that actually good can be further classified into 2 types: economic good and also free good. The definition has already been given here. And the examples are already given. For economic good we have food, knowledge, love. For free good we have air and water. And one of the questions that we haven't answered yet is whether 2 is better than 1. Actually, for economic good, 2 is better than 1. And for free good, 2 is not better than 1. Why this is the situation? So let's take food as an example. So for food, some people in Africa do not have enough food. Actually, if you double the amount of food in the world, humans will become happier because everybody can get the food. And then we can say that 2 is better than 1. But for free good, just like air and also seawater, we already have a lot of it. And then if we double the amount of air or double the amount of seawater, actually we do not care. So 2 is not better than 1 because we have already got enough. And in economic sense, 2 is better than 1 can be rephrased as more is preferred to less. And for 2 is not better than 1, we can say that more is not preferred to less. After learning all these definitions, then we can jump to the table below so that we can check our understanding. So you can see that for the first column we have economic good, for the second column we have free good, and for the last column we have good. And then actually if we want to answer the last column, you have to think about the first two columns first. If one of the answer is yes, another answer is no, then for good actually we can't tell. Okay, the answer should be uncertain. So if both of the answers here are yes, then for good we also have yes. So you can look at the first question so that you understand what I'm talking about. So the first question is asking you whether they are scarce or not. For economic goods, the answer is yes. For free goods, the answer is no. So that's why finally if we have to answer whether good is scarce or not, the answer will be uncertain. So good is scarce when we are talking about economic good. Good is not scarce when we are talking about free good. So actually we can't tell the answer. So the answer should be uncertain. And then for this, the second question, because both of the answers are good, then finally we will also know that the answer here is also good. And then afterwards we can jump to the fourth and the fifth question. If you compare these two questions, then you can see that the difference is here. So the word or. The first question is, can it satisfy human wants? And the second question is, can it satisfy all human wants? And you know that for economic good and for free good, because they are both good, so they can both satisfy human wants, because we want them and we need them to survive. But whether it can satisfy all human wants is another story. For economic good, we do not have sufficient quantity available, so our answer will be no. But for free good, we have a lot of it already, so the answer is yes. And so if one of the answer is no and another answer is yes, then finally for good, our answer should be uncertain. Then we can also look at the last question, whether people are willing to pay for economic good or free good. Actually, for economic good, just like food, we are willing to pay for it. Why this is the situation? Because we do not have enough of it, and then we have to pay for it. So if we are rich enough, then of course we can get it. If we are not rich enough or we are poor, then we cannot get it. So this is the situation about economic good. But for free good, just like air or seawater, no one is going to pay for free good. And so that's why for the final column and the final answer, it should be uncertain.